He's a good guy. He's a good guy. Does a nice job. All right, it is 5:30. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I want to thank you all for coming, and I want to remind you that our mission is to encourage everyone to see and be their personal best through the successful learning experiences. Become your best. Item 4, adoption of the agenda and the consent agenda is an order of business with identification of items to be taken off the consent agenda for discussion or separate action. Need a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor, say yes. Yes. Opposed? All right, now consider the approval of the consent agenda as adopted. Approve the minutes from December 16th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. Approve the financial report for the period July 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. And approve bills for the period of December 1 through December 31st, 2025 in the amount of $2,199,737.79. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
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 All right. With that, we'll move on to board and district leadership strategic planning. Legislative update. Scott?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Yesterday, area superintendents met with our legislators. I was not in attendance. We had a professional development day yesterday, and so did several other superintendents. So we were in our districts, but several did attend, and we got the notes from one of those individuals. Very briefly, Lindy Brill of the 27th was not in attendance. Joe Sheehan of the 26th was. Joe's report was around special education funding. He continues to push for some sufficient funding instead of some certain funding. He also mentioned that the 23 new representatives are getting their feet and their voice, getting their feet under them and their voice out there as well as they get the lay of the land. Devin LeMahieu, Senate District 9, talked about the final 3 months as being hectic with the work that was done, said that the Senate will be on the floor Wednesdays from now moving forward, very busy season coming up in February and March, with the goal of having good legislation at the finish line. He also reported, and I'll just read this as a direct quote, "New fiscal bureau numbers are looking better than projected. Much of that is in capital gains tax revenue, which may be one-time money. We are now looking at a $2.3 billion surplus, yet Medicare cost projections are an area of concern which will require fiscal planning." And that was Devin's report. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Scott. Item 7, designation of available spaces for regular special education open enrollment. Usually this is taken on by Ann, but Scott?
Right, I'll be substituting for Ann, but she did a very good job of presenting at Committee of the Whole last week. She also provided additional information in board packet. We are staying consistent with our recommendation from the past couple of years in that as far as open enrollment goes, we are open to regular education students, open enrolling. However, we will be closed for special education in open enrollment. This is consistent with districts around us as well.
All right, and we need
We
a
would
motion?
need a motion.
Motion?
Yes, to accept the proposal as stated.
I move we accept the proposal as stated.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? All right, thanks, Scott.
Yep, thank you.
Item 8, consider the approval of the youth football program. Kevin Butters,
Yep, right here.
there you are.
Basically, last week I just went over the proposal for moving youth football from outside of the school district into the school district and looking for approval, or if you guys have any questions on what next steps might be.
All right, so we need a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve the youth football program coming underneath the school district's responsibilities.
I'll second.
Any other discussion or questions for Kevin? All in favor then, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? All right. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Now, consider approval of girls' hockey.
Me again.
That's why you're there.
So our membership or our renewal is up for our co-op for our girls hockey program that we co-op with Fond du Lac School District as well as many other school districts. It's a 2-year renewal that we are currently in, so it's just continuing something we're already doing to offer one more thing to the kids at Plymouth.
Great. Need a motion?
I was going to ask, what age bracket are you looking at?
This is high school, 9th to 12th.
Motion?
Make a motion to approve the girls hockey co-op renewal.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Great job. Panther Spotlight, Parkview Elementary.
Yeah, so, well, I'm sure you guys aren't here to see Parkview Spotlight, but welcome anyway. Hope you learn a little bit about Parkview. So tonight, we kind of have 2 parts of this. The first part is a look at all of Parkview's goals, and then how we are currently doing with those 3 goals that we set for ourselves. So the KPIs that we started looking at last year. And then the second part, which is probably the most entertaining part, is going to be just a little spotlight on looping. Bob asked about it after we were talking about the restructuring and going through that whole process. Looping came up, and Bob was like, "What is looping?" And so I thought we would help answer that tonight. So for anybody else that doesn't know what it is. So Parkview Spotlight. Parkview is an amazing school. It has everything to do with the people that came here tonight to support and talk about the looping, but also the other awesome things that go on in that building. So we've got a couple of teachers here and some amazing students and their amazing parents too. So first thing, taking a look at those KPIs, I feel like we did really, really well and are doing really, really well so far, and we'll continue to get better. We have an academic goal, which is reading plan. So we, from Act 20, Dina talks about that quite a bit. Students who score below the 25 percentile are then put into a reading plan. And so I looked at that like an intervention, and what most intervention models tell you is that roughly between 10 and 20% of your students are going to fall into this intervention model, which would be the reading plan. And so we set the goal at 15%, no more than that. We prefer it to be less than that, and we'll work really hard for that, but 15% would be understandable. Extracurricular participation. So this one is in the very beginning phase. You remember last year, we actually were starting to talk about something else, and then we're like, nope, let's look at extracurricular participation and try to measure that. So we have a very beginning start on that, but we do have some data that we can share with the board and community as far as elementary extracurricular participation. And then lastly, set a very, very lofty goal of 95% with our attendance. I'll kind of explain what that means in a little bit. It's going to take 1 hour to go, I'm just kidding, to go through this, but I'll explain a little bit more about what the attendance piece is as we get to it. So I'm doing this backwards. I'm not going to share with you the results until the very end, but So you know what the goals are. This is what these people do, working hard every single day. But this is kind of like what happens in a month. So there's assessments that go on. Some of them are Ames Web, Amira, curricular assessments, and teachers are taking all that information and all of that data and analyzing it, right? So they are studying that information, thinking about, what plans, what do I have to do with this? How do I teach my students using all of this information that's coming at me? So during those, when we get that information coming in, we create plans, we do the differentiation, and then it's the instruction, right? So if you picture what goes on in school, most people, this is the part they think of. The teacher comes in, your class is sitting there perfect, quiet, all the time, and then you teach a lesson, and then you finish up. So that's part of it, but obviously not the whole thing. And then we are monitoring, adjusting. Our reading specialists are coaching us and helping us understand a little bit more with what the data is showing us, what trends we might be seeing, what our whole classroom skills that we may need to revisit, and that's all taking place in collaboration meetings. This is the simple view. I'm going to show you the more complex view in a second, which I was planning just to show you, and I'm like, no, this is crazy. No one will really understand what my brain was doing. And then lastly, it's kind of like a cycle. We go back, we're reassessing, looking at the information again, and then teaching students. This is the more complicated version. I started off, I'm like, I'll create a nice visual, people will be able to understand it. And then as I was throwing everything in there, I'm like, no, this is crazy. So in the middle of it though, just this one little part, the middle of it is the classroom instruction, and that's kind of like moving off to the right? So those are all the things that kids see. So kids are in a class, they are unaware that some of these other things are happening. But all the time, classroom teachers are going to data meetings. There are student service meetings with admin and counselors. There's collaboration going on. There's coaching taking place. There's data meetings again, so 2 times a month these are taking place. There's professional development and more collaboration. Every week these guys are meeting and talking about their students and how they can better help them and better serve them. So that's what all kids see. Then there's I put it in almost like Back to the Future font, classroom instruction, because there's alternate paradigms going on, right? So in that, there's interventions going on. So some of the students, maybe 15% of them, are going out and they are having some intense instruction taking place in reading in this example. And usually they don't even know what's going on. They're just, somebody comes and gets them, somebody's coming and getting some other students, and they go and do this intensive instruction. So those are the kids, if you remember that 15%, that are getting that really, really, really intense instruction. But they're still part of the regular classroom, they're just getting something else. All right, how are we doing with these KPIs? If you look at the academic portion, Parkview will have less than 15% of the students qualify for a personal reading plan. And right now, I almost did it the other way with okay, we'll have 85% not qualify for a reading plan, but it sounded wonky, so I just went with this. And so in the fall, we had 16% of our students qualify, and then the latest one, winter, December, we only had 14%. So you can see that there were several students that left the reading plan and are back on the normal, typical instruction process. Interestingly enough, 2 of the grade levels account for most of those reading plans. So for example, there's 3 grade levels that are all 95% of the kids have no reading plan at all. So I dug a little deeper in those 2 grades, and those 2 grade levels have a higher percentage of English learning students. They also have a higher percentage of students that are in poverty. And then lastly, they also had the worst attendance out of the school. So those 3 factors are things that we have to continue to have to for the rest of the year make sure that we are addressing the best that we can, and working with families on attendance and those types of things. And then lastly, attendance, increase attendance rate to, extracurricular. 91%, so what we ended up doing is Matt, Nick, and I sent out the survey. We ended up getting about 20% participation from all three elementary school. And what we asked them is, do your kids participate in extracurriculars? And then what types of extracurriculars? And so we got that information, which the three of us will be working more with. But 91%, so it's kind of our baseline that we can get started with. 91% of elementary families have their kids participating in some type of extracurricular. Some of these are church things, some of them are community, football, and of course, PABA and soccer and all that stuff are community things, but they're into that number, they're part of that number. Obviously, yet, elementary schools, we don't provide a whole ton of extracurriculars because of the community opportunities that are out there, but we do. Like our group here, a couple of them were part of starting an after-school group where they do fun little activities and things like that. And we had pretty good participation in that, I think, right?
There's a lot of slime.
Yeah, yeah, they made slime, which is banned in my house, but anyway, a couple different things they had going on, so some more opportunities. And then lastly, the attendance, increase it to 95%. Right now, when I looked at it, we are right around 90%. And what that is, let me see if I can say this without tripping over my words. 10% of the students, we'll look at the negative way, 10% of the students have only attended school less than 90% of the days available. So what will happen is we have more days available. Hopefully, they'll start coming to school every day like they're supposed to, unless they're sick. Throwing up, don't count. But, and then hopefully that percentage that will go up. Some of the other things I noticed when I was studying the attendance data, there was a ton of vacations that families took at the beginning of the year for whatever reason. And then right around, like right before Christmas break, there were a few families that were going on vacation. So that kind of brought that attendance down. Plus, there was also sickness, of course, like week-long viruses. But if you think back to that one slide there, there's the student services meetings where I meet with our school counselor, our social worker, and we talk about all of those. We talk about individual kids and those attendance, and then, you know, how can we help them out? Sometimes we might do an intervention, some kind of way to get the kid pumped up about always coming to school, and of course we also talk to the families and try to come up with a solution for attendance. All right, before we head off to the looping, that's all I have on this part. Any questions before we move on?
Tell me about looping.
All right, we're going to move on to looping. So Bob asked, what is looping? I don't know if that's what you might have thought was happening there, but we have a group of people that not only love Parkview, but also love looping. So I'm going to turn it over to them. Do you want me to give a description of what it is? Or you got it? You got it. Okay, all right. I'm going to shut up.
I'm Julie Coleman,
I'm Heather Thompson.
and we're two of the looping teachers at Parkview, so we're here to tell you what is looping. All right, my presenters, ready? 1, 2, 3.
What is looping?
Step down, and then kind of show.
Same teacher. Same kids. Same room. For 2 years. Where do we do this? 2nd to 3rd graders. The third grade teachers are Miss Coleman and Mrs. Josephs.
So this year, I teach third grade with my partner, Mrs. Joseph. Last year, we had the same children in second grade, and we all rolled forward together to stay together, same room, same kids, same teacher. And so next year, we will pick up a new batch of second graders.
The second grade, so the second grade teachers are Miss Thompson and Mrs. Lee.
Yep, so I have a new batch of second graders this year, and I will continue with them for next year for third grade.
And that's what looping is.
So these are some of my third graders this year, right? We've been together as a class family since the beginning of second grade. And it's a unique thing for Parkview, it really is, and it brings up some, just some different ways that kind of hit our hearts and hit us academically in some different ways. So we have Mrs. Thompson will say a few words, and we've got a couple of our wonderful Parkview families who would like to mention something, and I have another former looping student right here who is willing to mention something. But I think overall, for me, the three things always just kind of evolve from it, and the relationships, there's like a special depth that we can get to with having the same families and the same class family for 2 years. Routines, I mean, that's a given. The routines are just, makes everything efficient and everything flows. And the other one that is one of my favorites is just the connections we can make in our learning. So if you think of, I don't know, just at home and your kids say, I don't remember that. And you're like, well, wait a minute, remember we were on that trip and that's where we took the picture by the well. Or, oh, I know what you mean now. I can tap back into their whole second grade year and say, well, now remember when we did, and then they're like, oh yeah, and then we can connect that with what we're doing. It came up today, didn't it? We had a new reading unit that featured behavior of bees and the dancing that they do. And it took them a while, they're listening, and they were like, remember on the field trip last year? And they're like, oh yeah, we acted out the dance. And so we can really connect. I know exactly what they learned last year, and Mrs. Thompson's in the position where she knows exactly where her kids are going next year, so she already knows just where they're going.
Yep, and I would say that same, I swear I wrote it down. We didn't talk before, so we must love the same thing. But the biggest thing for me is just that 2-year time that you have with them. You take that first 3 months of second grade and you start building that relationship, and it is so messy, so messy. And you just keep saying, it's gonna be worth it. We're gonna put in the time, third grade is gonna rock. And within that 2 years, the depth, the connections that you have with those kids, the safety they feel, the trust they have for you. I've had so many struggling kids with trauma, with special needs, even just normal stuff. And within those 2 years, they look to you as someone they need in their life because you know about them. They trust you. They're more willing to open up. They're more willing to learn with you. They're more willing to fail with you. Building that community with the kids in the classroom. So many of our kids can't figure out how to connect sometimes. And when you spend 2 years building that community in a positive momentum, and you send that group out, I've seen those groups of kids stick together and actually come back to volunteer based on those connections in that second and third grade. So I would say that just building that momentum for me as a teacher, knowing where they're starting, knowing how to help them, taking away that 3 months in the beginning of third grade and just hit the ground running, hands down, yep. Can I share one more other thing? Sorry. I told Todd, do a sign or something, and I start rambling, and I am, it's happening. All right, so another parent suggested, and then I reached out to another group of kids that also looped, and they're fourth graders now, and I went and asked them, what do you love? What did you love about looping? And they said, the same things, the community. Knowing exactly what to expect that next year from their teacher, their classroom. It relieves this sort of mental transitioning stress for them at least once which why can't we do that, you know? And they just come, and it's like a family reunion in the beginning of third grade, and my heart's bursting just thinking about it, so I'm passing it on. Okay.
All righty. Elena Moreland is a student that I had. She's now in 7th grade, but do you have something that you would say?
I'm Lynn Wallum, and I was in Mrs. Coleman's class from 2020 to 2022. Those were my favorite years in school. Now I'm in 7th grade, and people are still talking about how much they love looping. 2nd and 3rd grade at Parkview, I loved looping at 2nd and 3rd grade at Parkview. I love looping because Mrs. Coleman is the best teacher ever. I love being in her class for 2 school years. Her classroom felt like a safe, loving family, and I will cherish those memories forever.
Excellent.
All right, we've got a group of parents. Are there any parents who would like to just share, maybe from your perspective?
I have 3 kids who are currently in the loop. 2 are up here talking, and I have a 2nd grader here who's with Mrs. Lee. I can attest, I also did the loop. I'm a Parkview alumni. When I looped, I think we looped in 1st and 2nd grade. The loop is awesome, and everything that the teachers are saying, I can attest as a parent, you see it in the classroom. I have the great fortune to be able to go and volunteer in the classroom. I go in 2 days a week. I go to Mrs. Coleman's room on Fridays and Mrs. Lee's room on Wednesdays. You can feel the connection that these kids have with their teachers and with the students in that room, like, because they know they're carrying them the next year. You really feel just how bonded they are, and you can see the growth that they do. It's really something special to see. Also, awesome benefits of the loop. There's a short school supply list. When you go to 3rd grade, they carry all their stuff. So you get a really short list that says you need markers and pencils and maybe some dry erase markers, and that's it. So that's awesome. And I also noticed that in 3rd grade, the learning starts quicker. There's not as much of a, where are they at? Let's see how they're doing. They just jump right back in and get going, which is awesome. Thanks.
My name's Kelly. I have several young ones. Anybody knows that. We have our 3rd young one has started the loop program again. So we've had the experience with our 2 olders. The only thing I can really attest to it, besides the classroom energy and everything that everybody else is saying, is the stuff that Mr. Hunt has already touched on. It seems like early on in the year, the kids excel. They pick things up a lot faster because they already knew where they left off. The kids are already learning, day 1, whether they realize it or not. Yeah, the energy, all that stuff carries on a little bit more, but as the classes keep moving through the grades, they still have that interaction, but it's with the teachers that they've interacted with. It just seems like right where they leave off, they get kicked, hit the ground running. And then I guess if that makes the difference between, basics versus excelling, I'd be all for it every year.
That extra 3 months.
Yeah. I know, like, Ms. Thompson's been the teacher for all these young ones. Some of the projects we end up getting into are very interesting, and I don't know if that's because of the looping, but it just seems like those kids are able to carry that memory and bonds, year after year, and they just keep running with it.
You can build one project small, and then the next year take it to another level.
Yeah.
Fish in the classroom.
Exactly, fish, ducks, animals, things you wouldn't think of, but you're able to relate that back to science and.
No bears yet, so.
Yeah.
Hey.
Maybe next year.
Right? Skip anybody besides the children?
Thanks.
So I'm the one who kind of brought it up. I think you and I talked about it after the meeting.
Yes, we did.
For me, my oldest son, he's now in 4th grade. He had Mrs. Thompson for 2nd and 3rd, and now my youngest has her for second grade. But more for my oldest, he has an IEP, he really struggles with change. To know that he had it was gonna be the same group of kids, the same teacher, was so much like, he changed a lot in those 2 years. He hated school before that. He would tell me he was sick all the time, he didn't wanna go, he would cry. It was terrible to deal with at our house at night. Once, I think, when he had Mrs. Thompson at the beginning, we had that issue. We never had that problem again because he knew what to expect, so it helped him out. And he's actually doing amazing in 4th grade now. So I think that that 2nd and 3rd grade looping kind of built that confidence for him.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, the predictability and the consistency is a huge cushion, especially for any anxious little ones or, the kids who aren't here did want to share a couple of their thoughts when I said, what do you like about looping? What do you think? We don't have to get to know a new teacher. It's less scary, less embarrassing. We get to keep our school supplies at school for 3rd grade. It's simpler, less shopping, we save money, and Mother Earth likes it too. Less garbage. Friends are less intimidating. You know your class family, you're used to each other. Classroom organization, they say we're used to our environment, it's less scary. We have clean desk rules that are easy, and our desks are always the same. Routines go super fast, we know where everything is, days go smoothly, and the homework routines are familiar. And the biggest one is probably the care for each other, the class family, they said, the respect and kindness, that's really solid. And my kids who are here, some of you have a few words you wanted to end with? Yeah?
I like looping because we know the teacher, we know how our desks are in the inside, and we can look back at 2nd grade and make connections. That's why I like looping. My name is Addie Murray, and I have been in Miss Coleman's class for the 2nd and now 3rd grade. The biggest impact for me that has come from looping has been that Miss Coleman had the time to recognize what I needed to be successful in the classroom and help me get it. I now spend time in G&T with Miss Barrington and am challenged in the classroom, so I am not bored at school. My mom wanted me to mention that it is pretty awesome for all parents that we have a significantly reduced school supply list year 2. And everybody should know, it's awesome. We get 2 years with our classmate Freckles the pig.
Okay. You got one, buddy? Yep. I'll go back.
I like about with the looping, I didn't worry about who my teacher was going to be and what kids would be in my class all summer long.
Good job, everybody.
All right. Hey, thank you very much. Todd, thank you for that, for Parkview, the KPIs. That was great. To the staff members, thank you very much. It now makes me want to go back to school and be looped. Now that I understand what it is, so that's good. And Dina, we're going to want to know where else can we loop in our school district, I think. So, yeah, great stuff. Thank you. All right, and moving on now, we are at Finance, Buildings, and Grounds. We need to approval and acceptance of the 2024-2025 audit report. Amy, you brought this to us in Committee of the Whole.
I did. It's not as fun as looping, but it still
No.
needs approval.
Yes.
So, if anyone has any questions, I can answer them, but if not, then you just need the audit approved.
Any questions for Amy based on the audit report? Otherwise, I need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to accept the 24-25 audit report.
Second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? All right, thank you, Amy. And then we need to consider gifts and corresponding budget adjustments. Scott, are you going to take that?
You bet. I'll take that one, and I'll read them off for you. Asking the board to consider a donation of $300 from True North generated through Pay at the Pump sales, an anonymous donation of $7,500 for a new golf simulator, a donation of $1,000 for the Angel Fund, a donation of $995 from Horizon Path for a new drinking fountain, a donation of $500 from Salem Endowment Fund for Fairview Elementary to purchase xylophones. And finally, a $700 gift card donation from Walmart to assist with the purchase of items needed for the Panther Fits closet.
All right. I need a motion to accept the generous gifts and the corresponding budget adjustments. All in favor, say yes. Yes. All right, thank you again to the community for those contributions. Moving on, we are at a period of public participation. Obviously, we have a crowd here of individuals and people that signed up to participate. Please keep in mind, this is, we are under an agenda, so any of the public comments, we will be listening intently to, and we may ask clarifying questions, but because it's not on the agenda, the board members won't discuss what is brought up between ourselves here in this meeting. That's not to say whatever is brought forward will not be considered, looked at, and contemplated. So I just wanted everyone clear on that. There are times during the public presentation, people wonder, why are the board members so quiet? Well, we're following our board policies and what we have. The other part of board policy is with public comment. You'll be given 5 minutes to speak. Katrina, you'll keep track of it, and we will wave at you, and we'll give or take a little bit if you need to go a little longer. And finally, when you do come forward, if you would just introduce yourself, where you're from, and if you represent any organization or the intent of your conversation, that just helps get everyone in the same place right away. So with that, first person on the list.
Mark Edmond.
All right, Mark?
Where would you like me to stand?
The microphone is up here, if that's all right.
All right, good evening. My name is Mark Edmond. I am the Executive Director of Family Services Association here in Sheboygan. I am coming before you as the Vice President of Black American Community Outreach. I am represented by a host of family, friends, and folks that kind of know me. Before I get into this, I will tell you I am going to try hard to focus and just read my document. Again, the folks that I named behind me know I can get very emotional with my leadership, especially when it's something that's near and dear to my heart, such as today. We're here because something that happened right in our community, in our school, among our students. An African exchange student at Plymouth High School was called the N-word and mocked with animal sounds. The student was participating with other students and was told to wear all black. The student told him to show up naked. Let's be honest, this is not just a one-time incident. It's a painful reminder that some black students in Plymouth do not feel safe or respected. The reality should break our hearts and demand our immediate action. Panther pride, right? This community prides itself on care, excellence, and integrity, as we just saw with the looping program here. But we cannot claim that value while students are being harmed and unheard. We do not need more statements or assemblies that simply check boxes. We need real change, something measurable and that's lasting. Here's what we bring forward. Student healing circles for those impacted so they can speak, heal, and be supported. Clear, enforced policies that define hate speech, spell out consequences, and protect every student. Anti-racism and cultural humility training for all staff, led by qualified outside educators who know how to build safe, inclusive environments. A permanent advisory council of students, parents, and community members to keep this district accountable and ensure progress continues. School districts like Oak Creek near Milwaukee have implemented these steps and they have seen transformations. Plymouth can be next. I do have a one-page proposal with concrete action steps. A community listening session within 2 weeks. Policy drafts and action plans ready within 30 days. a meeting with district leadership within 10 days to get this process moving. Every student in Plymouth deserves dignity, safety, and a chance to learn without fear. Silence is complicity. Delay is harm. The community is watching, and we all have a choice to either protect what is comfortable or stand up for what is right. Let's act with courage, honesty, and urgency. Together we can make Plymouth a place where every child can thrive and learn. I'm crying because I have 2 daughters, 3 daughters and a son that live in this community. I'm crying because I'm a young black man, still young, cold, don't talk about me a little bit. I went to Lakeland, down the street from here. Do we have moments like this? Maybe. We did. But I had college teammates that were with me. This young man didn't have that. He had to leave the school. You should not feel right about that. I'm not a perfect father. I'm not a perfect husband. I'm not a perfect brother. But I do look in the mirror when I have opportunities to make change. Y'all should make some damn change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And I will take your proposals, so please get with me afterwards as well. Is there someone else?
Amy S.
Amy?
Oh, Mark's gonna make me cry. I didn't know that this was an opportunity, and walking in, someone signed me up. So I was not prepared for this, but I am here for Mark and everyone standing behind me. And my name is Amy Salzwedel, and I've just come to know that my purpose in this life has been to be a safe space, and a safe space for children and adults alike. I've had kids come to me telling me that on Snapchat, they see monkey emojis, slurs, and whatnot, and I had a child in my car contemplating suicide. She said it was my little dog that kept her alive, and I don't think that's what anyone in this room wants. We always say we want lives, we want mothers to give birth to the babies, we want more lives in this world, so then we want to keep them here. And so when I hear things like suicide, that's not what our message is supposed to be. I agree with everything Mark said, and I'm willing to join boards to help with education. I feel like so many times you say, well, you shouldn't say that. Well, you really need to know why you shouldn't say that. And that does take a lot of education and a lot of learning. And I have been instilled from a child to be more than an ally. And I feel like my entire body exudes anti-racism. But when me, took an anti-racism class, I was floored. I felt times of like defensiveness inside me, and this is me, who has no racist bone in me. So it's not easy. It's not easy work at all. But you have to do the work and understand the work and bring down all of these defenses and really listen and know. This boy, when I saw his picture and his smile, I think everyone in this room could just feel his smile. And what Mark said, he didn't have anyone. And my first thought was, get him out of here. Just get him out of here. But that's not what it should be. And I have a friend who has 3 biracial sons, and they left here because of it. And she said they went to Houston, Texas. She said, in Houston, you're not going to say, oh, the black teacher, or the wonderful black woman who was the manager at McDonald's, because everyone there is multiracial. everyone is from a different culture. Everyone is accepted. And she said the best thing that she ever did for her kids who are on the dean's list, who play football at Baylor, who are in the church choir, who go to Catholic church every single Sunday. These are amazing African-American children that were given a better life somewhere other than here and taken out of the school district. And that's just not what we want to see. I feel like also with sports, maybe you're the kid in sports. You heard these little girls with their looping, hearing their little white voices. I want to hear a room here of all the black children in this community and their voices, and they will also melt your heart, their little 7-year-old voices and their skills. And whether it's singing or cooking or yoga or being in the school plays, there's so much more to offer. These kids are offering our community a lot more than sports. So I would like that to just be embraced. And again, I'm here to help and in a calm fashion, be a part of whatever agenda you decide to do.
Thank you, Amy.
Next, Dr. Toby Watson. Did I say that right, Watson?
Yeah, you did. Hi, thank you for letting me come up and talk, and I'm not only here to support my friend Mark and Amy and really everybody, because I think I'm supporting all of you and everybody in this room. I mean, I think the loop was important, but I think they're all here for some other reason. And I think this show of support really talks a lot about our community. And when I say our community, I'm talking about the larger, not just Plymouth. I was born and raised here, grew up with Amy. And we didn't have a lot of diversity here growing up initially. And as our communities got more and more diverse, we had more and more exposure, and we learned a lot more about that. And I think that I'm new to Plymouth now. I've moved out here from Kohler just a couple months ago, and I recognize there isn't as much diversity, even from here to Sheboygan. And I think that it's a lot for young children when they are growing up. We tend to gravitate to things that are like us, whether it be race or whether it be height or all these things that we find similar, because it makes us feel less anxious. And that's just a normal part of Psychology 101. We don't like to feel anxious. We don't like to feel something different. And I think one of the best things that Amy had said was that when she took, I don't know if it was a diversity class or some sort of immersion type experience, she went to, to learn about anti-racism, and she learned a lot. I remember when I did my doctorate out in California in Fresno, it was extremely diverse, and I was clearly the minority of Mexican Americans and Hispanic people. And I did that type of experience, and I went through the African American community and other areas, and I learned a great deal, and it lowered a lot of anxieties, and it dispelled a lot of myths that we don't know. And so I highly, highly encourage you and the board to really, work with Mark and any other agencies you can, or with Amy, to try to bring that to the Plymouth School District, to the students. Because if you don't, the downfall is what you end up getting, is an occasional slur, or maybe very frequently. And for a child that doesn't have, has that experience, we know that it can, cause depression, anxiety, post-traumatic. They don't want to engage in school. We know that there's research to support that grades drop down, attendance drops down. We know that, if it's an exchange student, they're more likely to terminate that exchange program and to leave. We know that other people will say, hey, don't send your kid out here. And so you really become a very isolated community, which is what you don't want. Because obviously, Plymouth is a great community. You've got a lot of diversity, a lot of different festivals, and Elkhart Lake is just nearby. And we want them to know that this is a safe community for everybody to come here. I think it's a little shocking, too, that a lot of people don't realize that surveys, and I just kind of pulled a little bit of data and some research as I was kind of sitting here and kind of thinking, because I haven't been as up on this as I should have been. 70% of people, when they do surveys, say that, the N-word should never be used. That's shocking to me. That means 30% that it's okay to be used sometimes. 10% of kids in high school say that they have been called the N-word. This is the African American community of black kids saying that in a way that was meant to be harassment and harmful to them. It's not, peers amongst themselves just saying it, which we know does happen as well. So those statistics are out there, and I think that you won't know really the true nature of the problem unless you start to poll and ask your student body and ask some of the other kids that, are either black or Hispanic or brown, and then you'll start to have that data. So I'm just here to show support, encourage everyone to, really take it seriously, because your school climate that you have here will change. If one student, and this came out, it's not the first time, I'm sure it happened before, and unless you make a big deal out of this, which you need to, the school climate is, oh, that's okay to have happen. And you really want to send a message that it's never okay to do something like that. So thank you for your time, though.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. It's not okay. It's not okay at all. And I only have heard a little bit about what has gone on, and we will find out more about it, but we will also take your recommendations, and we will try to do our very best. And to the young man, I am so very sorry the decision was made that he could not be in this community, because that's not who we are. It's not who we want to be, and we will do all we can to be better. And that I promise you, because I'm going to do my damnedest to make it better here. So, thank you all. It goes to the heart. All right, let's move on. Board liaison reports. If you are leaving, thank you very much for coming. We will continue our meeting, and afterwards, if you have any information or if you can't stick around, leave information with Amy or Katrina. Thank you. All right, moving on, then board liaison reports, community education, Sally.
Sure, community ed always has a lot going on. Coming up on a couple Saturdays, they will have a family swim available from 1 to 3. That will be February 7th and March 7th. Also at Riverview, they have family rock climbing from ages 5 and up. The middle school has lifting available, training for 7th and 8th graders, and tennis is available for middle schools also. And then parent-taught aquatics is going to be for children ages 6 months through 5 years old, and that's it.
Move on to the board liaison report with the Plymouth Foundation, Janelle.
The foundation met last week Wednesday, and Miss Samantha spoke with the mom of the looping student. She's one of our foundation students to her. The foundation has several new board members. It kind of rotates through cycles of who's on the board, so we welcome a couple new members to the Education Foundation. And the big push was I was going to remind all the parents, get your scholarship applications, and the students, the seniors especially, need to apply and turn in your scholarship applications by the January 30th. They're starting up that.
Sounds good, thank you. And then Family Resource Center, Kathy.
Along with our regular programs, Bring Your Own Baby on February 10th at the Mead Library, the Tiny Tots Playgroup, February 12th at the Plymouth Public Library, and the Biddy Book Club, February 17th at the Mead Library. We have 2 additional programs in February, Kids in the Kitchen. This is a Zoom video conference, virtual dinner making event. Sign up by February 12th. You'll receive a shopping list along with a $15 gift card to cover some of the cost. That will be sent, the shopping list and the gift card will be sent in advance of the class, which is February 19th from 5 to 6:30. And then there's Mom's Night Out. It's a watercolor workshop on February 26th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Generations. It's $15 for the workshop, and there's free childcare. Coming in March, there will be their developmental screening days. For more information, you can go to familyresourcesheboygan.org.
All right, thank you, Kathy. And their personnel, support staff update, Scott.
Yep, just an update support-wise. Hunter Schmidkloffer, special education aide at Plymouth High School, has submitted her resignation. Milena McDaniel, special education aide at Fairview Elementary, has submitted her resignation. Christine Bleesner has been hired as a server or cook at Riverview Middle School, and Nikki Hintz has been hired as a teacher's aide and special education aide at Parkview and Horizon Elementary School.
Okay, thank you. Nothing for item 15. We move on to President's Report. Well, tonight, my President's Report really became nothing. After hearing all of this, we have some more soul searching to do. We have a lot of work to do as a district, as a community, to really look at what's going on. This is never acceptable. There's never a day words like that should ever be used by anyone in this community. And I want us to look at our policies, our student policies, our student-teacher policies, and we really need to look closely at why did this happen? Why did we allow a culture to build within our school for something like this to happen? And what are we going to do about it to make permanent change? And Mark has some ideas. I have his card. He's going to send me the information that he gathered on Oak Creek. Let's find out. Let's not be afraid to find out how we can do better. So, and that's my President's Report. Scott?
I certainly echo that. I do have some celebrations as well. I want to make sure we hit those. Obviously, first semester wrapped up last Friday, so we began anew today. Congratulations to Mr. Fedizin and the 7th grade band at Riverview. They get to perform at the state capitol on March 3rd. They were one of 10 bands that were selected to perform there. They had to apply for that honor, so kudos to him and the kids. Also, a lot of activity, at the Plymouth Arts Center. We have pieces from 30 high school students, 6 middle school students, and then all of our 5K through 4th grade created art pieces as well that'll be on display through February 27th at the Plymouth Arts Center. So we'd encourage everybody to take that in and enjoy that. Congratulations to these members of the girls golf team recognized as Academic All-State. They have to be 3.25 GPA or higher. Marcy Abraham, Jillian Weber, Eden Schultz, Bria Niewolny, Clara Henschel, and Anna Lane. So congratulations and way to represent to those young ladies. Winter sports action obviously continues, not slowing down. If you haven't heard, Caden Schultz put up 50 against West Bend East. A week later, I believe, put up 49 if I'm not mistaken. So an example of a really talented kid, but an even better young man. Incoming freshman night, a big night for us, January 26th, 6:30 p.m. here at the high school. Our 8th graders will be participating in that and getting a sense of life at the high school as we begin to transition them. 4K information night is February 4th, 5:30 p.m., and we're at Horizon this year for that. That is a wonderful night as well. It's interesting to see families come in, parents come in, whether it's their third child in line or their first, right? It's just great to get everybody acclimated and for the kids to see their future classrooms. Often they don't want to leave because of the rich learning environments that are created there. Community ed, I think I'm hopping with what Sally said, but 48 learning and wellness opportunities for all ages this winter, so please, especially as it gets colder and it's dark.
Please no colder.
Yeah, thank you, I shouldn't have said colder. But please be involved. And then finally, we have an exciting opportunity for our staff throughout the district. We are one of 24 districts, eastern part of Wisconsin. In conjunction with Channel 5 out of Green Bay, we're hosting an awards night on May 16th. It'll be held in Kohler. And people are able to nominate staff members for recognition as outstanding educators, staff members in districts, things like that. So various different awards. All information for that is posted on our website, but February 9th is the deadline for that, so that's going to sneak up on us in a hurry. So we'd love for people to nominate one or more of our Plymouth staff members and get some very worthy recognition. And that's my report.
All right. Thank you, Scott. And now we need to vote to convene into closed session under 19.851 of the Wisconsin State Statute for consideration of individual compensation, employment, promotion, compensation, and performance evaluation of public employees. We will be reviewing administrative contracts. So,
I'll make a
roll
motion
call.
to move into
Yep.
closed
I'm sorry.
session.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call?
Aaron?
Yes.
Tony?